I. P.Y. Lalita Chaitanya, lecturer in Commerce, Garment City College. Today's topic is trade, aids to trade, industry and commerce. So here, what is the relationship among the trade, commerce and industry? Industry, trade and commerce are closely related to each other. As such, they affect and are in turn affected by each other. Each component of business has to depend upon the other for the realization of its objectives. For example, industry is concerned with the production of goods and services, and commerce helps in distribution of these goods and services. Here, industry is concerned with the production of goods and services. That means manufacturing of goods and services. So here, commerce helps in distribution of these goods and services. So one is the production of goods and services. After production, then with the help of commerce, we will distribute the goods and services. It is known as commerce. Thus, they both are interdependent. Apart from providing the service of distribution to industry, commerce also helps industry in taking decisions on important matters like that to produce, when to produce, and for whom to produce. Commerce is able to provide this service to industry because of its understanding of the market situation, which it gets through the marketing research. Trade, industry and commerce are also closely related to each other. Trade, being concerned with buying and selling of goods, provides support to industry and maintains a smooth flow of commerce. It is the nucleus of commerce, as all business activities revolve around the transfer of exchange. It provides a solid foundation upon which the superstructure of commerce is raised. Thus, trade, commerce and industry are closely related to one another due to the following reasons. Industry provides goods and services for distribution by commerce. No commercial activity is possible in the absence of production by industry. Thus, industry provides the base for commerce and serves the backbone of commerce. Industrial production is meaningless without the distribution of goods and services by commerce. Here, the commerce provides a support to industry by maintaining a smooth distribution of goods from producers to consumers. Means commerce is providing a good support to the industry for maintaining a smooth distribution of goods and services to the consumers. Industry cannot function without commerce and trade. Commerce serves as the lifeline of industry. Commerce is serving as the lifeline for the industry. Industry and commerce provides base for trade. Trade means buying and selling of goods and services between the buyer and seller for price And also, trade provides the necessary support to industry by serving as a link between producers and consumers. Various aids to trade such as transport, warehousing, banking, insurance, etc. bring about a smooth flow of trade. Here, industry, commerce and trade are closely related to each other. As shown in the above diagram, the relationship between them is interdependent. Industry depends upon commerce for distribution of goods and services produced by it to the ultimate consumers. Here, the very existence of commerce, that is trade and aids to trade, depends upon the growth and expansion of industrial sector. So, the growth and expansion of industry mainly depending upon aids to trade. Here, trade is providing a necessary support to industry and commerce. Thus, the trade, industry and commerce are interrelated. Here, we'll know the difference between trade, commerce and industry. Trade means sale or transfer of ownership of goods and services from the producer to the consumer is the meaning of the trade. Trade means sale or a transfer of the ownership of goods and services from the producer to the consumer is known as a trade. As the commerce is the process of distribution of goods and services produced by the industry. In the trade, sale or transfer of ownership of goods and services from the producer to the consumer is known as a trade. Commerce is the process of distribution of goods and services produced by the industrial sector is known as commerce. Industry is concerned with the production of goods and services as per the customer needs. Industry is concerned with the production of goods and services as per the customer needs is known as industry. Here, the nature of the trade is trade represents of exchange of goods and services, that is both demand and supply. The nature of the commerce represents only the demand side of goods and services. The industry represents only the supply side of goods and services. The nature of the industry represents only the supply side of goods and services is known as industry. Next, move on to the next point, that is a creativity, how it affects in trade, commerce and industry. Trade creates position utility through the exchange of goods and services, whereas commerce creates place and time utility by moving goods from one place to the another. Commerce creates a place and time utility by moving the goods from one place to the another is the creation of utility in commerce. Industry creates form utility by converting raw materials into finished goods is known as industry. Next, move on to the place of operations. Trading operations are carried out in and around consumption centers, that is marketplaces. Commerce activities operate between the production centers and consumption centers. Industrial activities are carried out at the production centers such as factories and workshops. Trade has a narrow scope. It includes home trade and foreign trade. Commerce has a wider scope than trade. It includes trade and aids to trade. The scope of the industry encompasses all the activities needed to convert raw materials into the final product. Is the scope of industry. Coming to the degree of risk, risks involved in the trading activities Risks involved in the trading activities are limited in trade, whereas the degree of risk in commerce is commercial activities to involve limited tasks. Move on to the industry, production activities involves higher risks. And next move on to the next point, that is a capital investment. Trade requires a limited capital investment for maintaining a stock. Trade requires a limited capital requirement for maintaining a stock. Whereas in the capital investment in commerce is various aids to trades requires huge capital investments during the initial stage in commerce. The capital investments in commerce is various aids to trades requires a huge capital investments during their initial stage. And move on to the industrial units too require huge capital investment, especially during the initial stage. So these are the trade, commerce and industry. Next move on to the concept of trade. Trade means an exchange of goods and services. Just now we have discussed. Once again we'll move on to the concept of trade individually. There are two persons involved in trade, namely buyer and seller. Trade means buying and selling of goods and services with the use of money or without use of money. That trade may be a barter exchange or a monetary exchange. Trade may be a barter exchange or monetary exchange. More to the barter exchange is a system of exchanging goods for goods. In barter exchange, exchanging goods for goods. For example, wheat against rice. And move on to the next point is monetary exchange. Monetary exchange is a system of exchanging goods and services for money. Here, money acts as a medium of exchange. Monetary exchange is a system of exchanging goods and services for money, whereas in the barter system, exchanging goods for goods. For example, wheat against rice. Just now we have discussed. Whereas in the monetary exchange, everything which you are exchanging goods, but you will be taking a services of money, for money. You are giving goods and taking money is the monetary exchange. Here money acts as a medium of exchange, is known as monetary exchange. Now move on to the what are the hindrances to trade. Commerce includes all those activities which are concerned with the transfer of goods and services from the producer to the end users. Commerce includes all those activities which are concerned with the transfer of goods and services from the producers to the end users. However, this transaction from the producer to the consumer is not smooth. There are number of hindrances. Hindrances is nothing but number of difficulties in the transition of goods from the producer to the consumer. There are at the time of making a trade, there will be some difficulties. There will be some problems at the time of making a transferring the goods from one place to the another place. That is from producer to the consumer. So these hindrances are created by geographical distance, time lag between production and consumption, or due to information gap. These hindrances are removed by various aids to trade. Some of these hindrances to trade are, the first one is hindrance of personal or direct contact is solved by middlemen. Hindrance of personal or direct contact is solved by middlemen. Goods are produced. Hindrance of personal or direct contact is solved by middlemen means goods are produced by producers who are few and located at certain places as compared to consumers who are many and scattered in different places. Goods are produced by producers who are few and located at certain places as compared to consumers who are many and scattered in different places. Thus, production is centralized, but consumption is decentralized. As a result, it is not possible for the producers to establish direct contact with the consumers. This difficulty is known as personal hindrance. It is nothing but personal difficult. This difficulty of personal contact between producers and consumers is removed by wholesale traders. Is removed by wholesale traders and retail traders who act as a middleman or intermediaries between producers and consumers and thereby help in establishing contact between producers and consumers. And move on to the next point, that is hindrance of place or distance is solved by transportation and communication. Here, production takes place at a central place. Production is taking place at a central place. While goods so produced are consumed at different locations spread far and wide. Thus, producers and consumers are separated geographically by a vast distance. For example, knitwear products of Tirupur, India are sold throughout the world. Knitwear products of Tirupur, India are sold throughout the world. This difficulty is known as difficulty of place or distance. This difficulty of distance is solved by transportation. So, through transportation ensures quick supply of goods at different places where demand exists. It has linked up all the areas of the world and enabled the people of all countries to benefit through exchange of goods. Is known as hindrance of place or distance is solved by transportation and communication. So here production is taking place at a central place while goods so produced are consumed at different locations spread far and wide. So thus producers and consumers are separate geographically by a vast distance. This difficulty means through knitwear products of Tirupura are sold throughout the world. Just now we had discussed that. So this difficulty is known as difficulty of place or distance. This difficulty of distance is solved by transportation. So transportation ensures quick supply of goods at different places where demand exists. So it has linked up all the areas of the world. So little bit this is one of the difficulty in the trade. Because worldwide if we want to supply any goods and services to the consumers at a proper time, it is sometimes it may be a difficult to us because we are the a quick supply of goods may not be possible because of different places where demand exists. Is known as hindrance of place or distance is solved by transportation and communication. And move on to the third point, that is hindrance of time is solved by warehousing and storage. Hindrance of time is solved by warehousing and storage. Certain goods are produced seasonally while they are demanded throughout the year. Certain goods are produced seasonally while they are demanded throughout the year. For example, food grains. Season wise it will grow, but demand will be there throughout the year. Is known as fruit grains. Examples: food grains, sugar, cotton, etc. Similarly, a few goods are demanded only during a particular season, but they have to manufacture in advance. For example, woolen goods are needed in winter and umbrellas and raincoats in the rainy season. We require woolen clothes in winter. Umbrellas and raincoats we require in rainy season. But they have to produced and stored much ahead of the season. Before the season comes, they have to store that and they have to manufacture that particular woolen clothes, umbrellas and raincoats based on that reason. This time gap between the production and the consumption is known as difficulty of time. So, this difficulty of time is solved by warehousing. So, in that particular season, if he wants to provide, if he wants to sell raincoats, umbrellas, so before itself we have to manufacture. At that present moment, at that present time, we cannot manufacture some goods at the right time. So, this is also one of the hindrance to solve for warehousing and storage. So, for that problem, what is the solution? The solution for that problem is storing means manufacturing in advance and storing in the warehouses. So it clears the difficulties. So warehousing creates time utility by making goods available at the right time when they are demanded or required. So warehouse is very important aid in the aids to trade. So it creates a time utility for making the goods available at the right time when they are demanded or required. And next move on to the hindrance of risk involved by insurance. Hindrance of risk is solved by insurance means business is a risk-taking activity and the profit is the reward for taking risk. So every business is a risk-taking activity. So we have in the business the risk is compulsory. So when you take a risk, the reward for that particular risk is nothing but a profit. So every business is exposed to two types of risks, that is insurable risks and non-insurable risks. One is insurable risk, another one is non-insurable risks. Insurable risks are those risks which can be insured with the insurance company, while the non-insurable risk cannot be insured with the insurance company. Here, these risks must be borne or shouldered by the businessman. This problem is known as hindrance of risks. The problem of risk is solved by insurance, but the insurance does not eliminate the risk but compensates for losses. The problem of risk is solved by insurance. Insurance does not eliminate the risk but compensate for losses is known as the insurance. An insurance company provides different types of policies for providing insurance cover to losses arising from fire, cyclone, theft, or any other natural calamities by accepting a premium. So here the hindrance of risk is solved by insurance, means business is a risk-taking activity and profit is the reward of taking risk. Every business is exposed to two types of risk, that is the insurable risk and non-insurable risk. Insurable risk means insurable risks are those risks which can be insured with the insurance company, while non-insurable risk cannot be insured with the insurance company. So these risks must be borne by the shoulders of the businessman. This problem is known as hindrance of risks. Got it clear? Yeah. And move on to the next point, that is hindrance of information is solved. Hindrance of information is solved by advertising and salesmanship. People will demand goods only when they are aware of having information of the availability of goods. People will have demand for goods only when they are aware or having information of the availability of goods. There are number of companies or brands offering wide variety of products which are perfect substitute of each other. There are number of companies offering a wide varieties of products which are perfect substitute of each other. The consumers may not buy these products unless he has information about these products. This difficulty is known as hindrance of information. The problem of information or a knowledge is solved by advertising and salesmanship. Here, the problem of information or knowledge is solved through advertising and salesmanship. Here, advertising informs the consumers about different products available in the market and their features, advantages, and benefits. Similarly, salesmanship informs or pursues the consumer to buy these products. So here the difficulty of information is solved by advertising and salesmanship is nothing but people will demand goods only when they are aware of having information of the availability of goods. So there are number of brands offering wide variety of products which are perfect substitute of each other. The consumers may not buy these products unless he has the information about these products. The difficulty is known as the hindrance of information. Here, the problem of information or a knowledge is solved through advertisement and salesmanship. Advertising informs the consumers about the products available in the market and their features, advantages and benefits. Similarly, the salesmanship informs and persuades the consumers to buy those products. Let's move on to the next point. Hindrance of finance is solved by banking. Here, finance is the lifeblood of any business activity. Here, the hindrance of finance is nothing but difficulty of finance is solved by banking institutions. Due to that also, some of the difficulties we will face in the trading. Here, the meaning of hindrance of finance is solved by banking means finance is the lifeblood of any business activity. Means without finance, without capital, the business cannot be, without investment, the business cannot be started. So once we cannot start, we cannot earn the profit. So unless and until if we don't have a proper finance, we cannot start up the business and we cannot get a good profits in our business. So that's why in the trading activities also, finance is the lifeblood of any business activity. Without a finance, the business activity cannot be performed in a proper manner. Here, the problem of finance affects the producer, trader and the consumer. So here, trader, producer and the consumer. Three people will have a hindrance in the financial effects will be there and some of the problems will be there here. If the manufacturer is to continue production without disruption, if the manufacturing is continuously, he is continuing the production without any delay. If the trader is to run his business without any shortage of stock, and if the consumers are to satisfy their varied requirements, adequate finance is essential. So continuously if you want to manufacture the production, so compulsory we require some finance. If proper finance is not there, then the distribution of the goods and services cannot be possible. For the continuous production, the finance plays very vital role. Otherwise, there will be getting a disruption in the trading point. If the trader is to run his business without shortage of stock, and if the consumers are able to satisfy their various requirements, if the producer is not having any difficulties in shortage of stocks, then definitely it will reach to all the consumers because no shortage will be there. So the demand for the products also will be more from the consumer side point of view. So, satisfy their varied requirements, adequate finance is essential. There is always a time gap between production and consumption. Production you will start in one point of time and the consumption will be in the next point of time. Is work in progress, semi-finished, finally finished. So, consumption is automatically from the finished product you will see that consumption between purchase and sale. Thereby between outflow and inflow of cash will be there. Purchase and sale. When you are purchasing, cash is going out. When you are not purchasing, purchase and sale, thereby between outflow and inflow of cash. So this gap creates hindrance of finance which is filled by banks and financial institutions by making available the required cash to the manufacturers, traders and consumers as per their demand. So here there will be a concept of aids to trade is also there in this. That is, commerce includes all those activities which are connected with transferring of goods and services from the producers to the users. Commerce includes all those activities which are connected with transferring of goods and services from the producers to the users. In between these two ends, that is the producer and the user, a number of obstacles exist. These obstacles pertain to trade, place, time, risk, finance and information. So here the aids to trade remove these obstacles and ensure smooth flow of goods and services for the benefit of both the producers and consumers. So these aids are essential for the growth of trade and industry. Thus they are also known as aid to, aids to business and services. Aids to trade includes transport, communication, banking, finance, insurance, warehousing, advertising, and publicity. Aids to trade are those activities or agencies which help in the smooth conduct of trade by removing or solving the different problems or difficulties or obstacles or hurdles or hindrance in trade. Here, today we have discussed what are the different hindrances to trade, that is a personal contract, place or distance, risk, time, information or knowledge, finance, all these are the hindrances to trade. So, we have discussed about the summary, small summary, a concept of trade, and what is the difference between the trade, industry and commerce. In the concept of trade, there is a two exchanges will be there, that is a barter exchange and monetary exchange. And also we have discussed about the hindrances to trade. In the hindrances to trade, the first point is hindrance of personal or direct contact is solved by middlemen. Move on to the next one is hindrance of place or distance is solved by transportation and communication. And also hindrance of time is solved by warehousing and storage. Hindrance of risk is solved by insurance. Move on to the next point, that is hindrance of information is solved by advertising and salesmanship. Hindrance of finance is solved by banking. So these are the concept of trade. What are the hindrances to trade? What do you mean by industry and the commerce? The next topic we will discuss about the aids to trade in detail. Thank you.